was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't know.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
When you want to relax your body and refresh your mind, welcome to Hotel La Confidential, Aroa's premier destination for luxury and comfort. The only hotel in Aroa City offering a serene atmosphere, breathtaking scenery. Come and discover our exclusive wellness club with packages that include a fully equipped gym, a rejuvenating sauna, steam bath, and a great sky blue swimming pool. For events, our state-of-art conference halls and versatile event spaces are perfect for hosting shows, wedding receptions, birthdays, and more. Come and enjoy our cinema hall and unisex saloon, all designed to meet your entertainment and grooming needs. Bring your family and let your kids splash around in our beautiful kids water park. We are located on Aroa Pakwachi Highway in the heart of Aroa City. Don't wait. Visit us on www.hotellaconfidential.com or call us on 0761 688 181.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
A new dawn on Behind the Headlines with me, Timothy Nyangweso. Every Wednesday, live in our studios in the heart of Kampala. We have conversations that have analysis, explanation, but not every truth is fact, and not every fact is truth. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
All on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
107.3 Kampala, 96.9 Mbale, 95.7 Jinja, 98.6 Soroti. You are all covered.
UBC Mutego. UBC Mutego.
Juko.
Yo.
What you go? Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Welcome to the hour of 9. Thank you so much for being with us. It is the extra. I'm Robert Chirabo Nyonyitono. And this morning, I'm going to be discussing something very, very important. That is the World TB Day. Now, the World TB Day happens every 25th of March. And this year it will be celebrated on that date and the month and the year. Now, of course, we've all heard about TB, we've all heard about leprosy, and with me on set, I have experts, I have doctors, medical doctors. You know, there are those we call doctors who have read books. Not that the medicals have not read the books, but the PhD holders. Now, I have doctors, medical doctors, who are experts in this field. I have Dr. Luze Henry, who is the Assistant Commissioner, Ministry of Health, National TB and Leprosy Division. You're most welcome, Dr. Luze.
Thank you.
Happy to have you.
Thank you so much.
And just next to me, I have a man who is very common, I must say. I've hosted him several times, and that is Dr. Raymond Biaruhanga, who is the Senior Technical Advisor, Ministry of Health, National TB and Leprosy Division. You're most welcome, Dr. Raymond.
Thank you, Chirava. Good morning, viewers, and good morning, everybody out there, and looking forward to having a very good discussion this morning.
Now, allow me to start with Dr. Luze. Dr. Luze, briefly, because later on we may be interrupted by a live coverage, and when that comes on, I'll let your viewer know. So we have very little time, and we want to cover so much. So we may not use the inverted pyramid way, but find a way of communicating these things very fast. Now, briefly, Dr. Luze, when we talk about TB, what is TB?
Thank you so much for hosting us this morning on this live show. First of all, tuberculosis is a disease that is caused by a bacteria, mycobacteria, that affects mainly the lungs, but it can affect any other part of the body, but commonly it's the lungs, and it is transmitted through air. So once someone coughs and has the disease, the organisms can stay in the air, and then you breathe them in, then you get the infection. The disease usually manifests in the lungs through cough, but also get other manifestations like fever, loss of weight, depending on where the organism actually gets lodged. You can also get swelling of the lymph nodes, especially in the neck and axilla, and also into the abdomen. When it goes into the bones, you can get deformities, especially in the spines or in the joints. So this tuberculosis has been with us for a long time, for centuries. But the good news is that it is something that is curable, which is also preventable. So the call here from us is that the population has to go and get screened for tuberculosis, not when they are sick. Screening doesn't need when you are sick. Before you even fall sick, you go and get screened for free and get diagnosed for free. And if you have the disease, you can get treated for free of charge.
Wow, treatment is free of charge.
Yeah.
Now this brings me to Dr. Raymond. Yes. How big is this problem? How severe the prevalence?
Thank you very much. Tuberculosis is a very, as my colleague has said, is a very common disease. It's an old disease. Statistically speaking, in Uganda, from World Health Organization, Uganda is among the 30 high-burden TB HIV countries in the world. So if you can look at how many countries are in the world, and Uganda is in the top 30 countries that have a high TB HIV burden. On average, annually from World Health Organization, but also from what we are seeing in the Ministry of Health, we estimate to have about 96,000 new TB patients every year.
That's a big number.
Now, 96,000 is actually a very big number, as you've said. I just want to compare it with some of the diseases we have in the country. For example, HIV. HIV, today, with all the efforts that we've done, we've seen a reduction. It used to be at about 150,000 HIV patients every year. Now we are looking at about 46, 48, 50,000 HIV new patients every year. Tuberculosis is at 96,000. That means that on average, every month we are getting about almost about 10,000, 15,000 people getting TB on a monthly basis. But at the end of the day, we are not reaching out to all of them. So we end up at about seeing on annually at about 90,000. And that has been a great improvement in terms of now those that are being diagnosed. Those that we are not diagnosing are continuing to affect others. On average, we are losing about almost 30,000 people due to TB every year.
30,000?
Yes.
Mitwale Satu.
Mitwale Satu every year. And that is quite a very big number for us as a country with our kind of services. As you've heard from my colleague, TB, they say, tends to affect the poor. But in this instance, even now the rich are also getting infected with TB, where we are seeing a lot of people who are congested living together, whether in Kampala, whether up country, windows are closed. People have started building houses with the air conditions in them. This is all leading to getting infected. People who are smoking are more at risk of getting infected with TB. So again, the appeal from the Ministry of Health and from all of us is screening. If you have a simple cough, go and get screened for tuberculosis. Once you have tuberculosis, treatment is available. If you don't have tuberculosis, but you have a neighbor or a housemate or a child or your spouse has tuberculosis, make sure that your spouse or your neighbor gets the treatment for TB, but also from your side, get protected. Get the preventive treatment. We have it now in our country to prevent you from getting TB from your close relatives. Yeah.
Now, you talked about, and I want to bring Dr. Ruze here, what is the connection between HIV/AIDS and tuberculosis? Because most of the times, huge number of people living with HIV/AIDS that I've interacted with, you find there's tuberculosis. So I've always asked myself, where's the connectivity? Dr. Ruze.
Thank you very much for that. Tuberculosis usually, we have it in the body. All of us, most of us have it as an infection, which is harmless. But it waits for some conditions that we get, which lower our immunity. And HIV is one of the conditions that lower our immunity. But there are also other conditions. If you don't eat well, you have a lowered immunity. Diabetes lowers people's immunity. Cancer conditions lower people's immunity. So, so when you have now HIV, the immunity goes down, and it allows that germ which we have in our body to sprout, to cause the disease. So that is the connection. And right now, we know that for every 100 TB patients, around 30 of them also have HIV. So it is 30% TB-HIV co-infection. And as he said already, Uganda is still very high in among the 30 high-burden countries in the world for TB-HIV co-infection. But again, the good news is that even if you have TB and HIV together, you can be treated and TB gets cured. And of course, you can take the drugs for HIV and TB together. Yes. And even among the patients who have HIV and have not yet developed tuberculosis, we have drugs that prevent the development of tuberculosis among them.
Wow, the good news is you can be treated and you cure of tuberculosis, but also if you have HIV, there is treatment, preventive treatment. I hope that is the right word.
Exactly.
Medics. Preventive treatment. That
you're a medic.
that will enable you not to acquire tuberculosis. Now, also, you're in charge of tuberculosis and leprosy.
Yes.
Is there also any connectivity, Dr. Raymond?
Yes. The program, the division is in charge of tuberculosis and leprosy. Leprosy is a sister, or I can say a brother to tuberculosis. In what way? The germ that doctor has mentioned that causes tuberculosis is the same family as the one that causes leprosy. Whereas the germ that causes tuberculosis is Microbacterium tuberculosis. The one that causes leprosy is Microbacterium leprae. So they are the same family. And the transmission is the same through air.
Even leprosy,
even leprosy is through air. Eh? And the drugs that are used are similar to the same drugs that are used in tuberculosis management. The only difference between the tuberculosis and leprosy is the way leprosy manifests. Whereas tuberculosis goes mostly, and what we're looking out for is the lungs. The leprosy goes to the skin and goes to the small nerves that are in the hands and in the feet. To the extent that once you have leprosy, you start getting small patches on the skin. That patch is painless. It usually is swollen, but painless, and at times loses sensation. You no longer feel. So if you pass anything, you pass a pin, you put a pin there, you pierce, the person is not feeling anything. That is the first sign to show that this could be leprosy. But as it advances, as you get more and more, stay with leprosy, the more it starts affecting your nerves, to the extent that you can hold a hot piece of charcoal, and you will not feel anything. It will burn. And it begins chewing your digits to the extent that eventually you start becoming deformed. You stop handling, you stop walking.
On the street.
Exactly. So the management is usually the same. The only challenge is that we usually misdiagnose many of these leprosy patients, and we end up mismanaging them, and we think that this is a skin changes, and you feel that you're not feeling anything. Please, apart from seeing a dermatologist, go and see a clinician who is well conversant with the management of leprosy, and will even get in touch with us and be able to manage leprosy. Leprosy, many of us might think it is something far-fetched. It is out of Uganda. We still have leprosy cases in Uganda. We have leprosy cases, quite a huge number of leprosy patients in West Nile. We have leprosy cases here in Busoga. We have leprosy cases in Kasese. We have leprosy cases here in Kampala.
I see, are they called lepers?
Yes.
I see them on the streets of Kampala.
They are.
Now, for me moving around, how safe am I if this is an airborne disease?
Now,
I want to lose my digits.
That is a very interesting.
We meet them, then you give them money. Have teens, some of them are, oh Jesus, give me a good word. I want to use the word, but for lack of a better word, some of them are beggars on the streets, and I have to get a penny, then drop in there. Now I'm getting closer to this person. So how safe am I? I'm getting worried. So
as we say, that leprosy as bacteria are airborne disease. Once you either cough it out, or you spit it, or you're spitting, you tend to get leprosy, or you tend to get tuberculosis. But I'll be now more open to reduce stigma. Leprosy or tuberculosis, the myths are many. One of them, people think that by eating with someone on the same plate, you get tuberculosis or you get leprosy. No. Or sitting with someone and the cup that the patient has used and the cup that you're going to use, you're going to get leprosy or tuberculosis. No. As we said, it is through airborne, and especially if you've not been treated. If you get treatment for tuberculosis early, you will prevent this person from transmitting. The same applies to leprosy. Once we get these people early, we avoid, we prevent them from infecting others. That is one of the methods of prevention in both of them. But the other one is to reduce the stigma. By you giving someone money on the street, when he's in need of money, because that is because this person is disabled. He's not able to do anything for himself or herself. We are able to provide, you know, as Ugandans with that heart, we're able to provide, you know, support. But the most important thing beyond that is encouraging this person to go to a facility and be diagnosed and managed for leprosy. The drugs are available, they are free of charge, and we can actually manage reducing these disability patients. But beyond that, we have a hospital in Buluba that manages leprosy patients, and we have managed to also get them some of the tools that they can use, either walking, like leprosy shoes, or leprosy gloves for them to use, so that they can avoid, you know, getting more hurt by the by fire or infections or that kind of thing, and that has helped them live a much better life for them. Yeah.
Well, you're still watching Good Morning Uganda Extra, and we are looking at the World Tuberculosis Day, celebrated every 25th of March. Now, Dr. Luze, let's go to this day. First and foremost, Ministry of Health has a number of days you celebrate. Let's look at the significance, to be more particular, of celebrating World Tuberculosis Day. Why do we celebrate this?
Well, thank you so much once again. World Tuberculosis Day is actually on the 24th of March, which is today. But the commemoration will be tomorrow in Nakasongola, RC Primary School, Nakasongola District. And the chief guest is going to be the Right Honorable Prime Minister of Uganda, Robin Anabanja. So, why do we celebrate this day? We are trying to commemorate this day, but more importantly, to create awareness and hope to the people who are suffering from tuberculosis and leprosy. We do a number of activities that actually create awareness in our population. For this year, we had a marathon, TB run in Uganda, that was on the 16th of March. Again, that marathon, apart from raising the funds, but also to create awareness within the community. So we are raising funds to build a ward in Uganda Hospital. Then we have had debates, school debates, and the children are debating about tuberculosis and leprosy. And we think that we are creating the awareness within that age group, because we have quite a number of TB in schools as well, because of the congestion we have in schools. So we need to create awareness within the children in that school, and so that they can also pass the message upwards. We've had talk shows here before and other mass medias. We quite a number of other activities. Right now we have sports gala taking place in Nakasongola, where we have the communities coming in and participating, and been going around into the communities, screening, creating more awareness, and then screening. We have mobile vans that go in the communities, so we encourage people to come and screen. We have the community awareness, screening and testing, which we call the CAST, which we do usually in March and September. So we use those days those months to go in communities, create awareness, do the screening and testing and treatment. So mainly that's why we are having this World TB Day commemoration, so that we create awareness, we give hope to the people who are suffering, and also make sure that we prevent others from getting the disease as much as possible.
Well, Dr. Raymond, you wanted to supplement?
Yes, I would like to supplement on my brother here. As he has mentioned, the CAST campaign being held in March and September, but we have emphasized in March. And the CAST campaign, which is the community awareness, screening, testing and diagnosis of TB, HIV, and other diseases, is done around the whole country at community level, in homes and in very clear hotspots where people are coughing but are not able to come to the facilities. And this is meant to find those people that are not coming to the facilities that have tuberculosis, but are seated out there in the communities and need our service at community level. in one way, it's getting those TB patients, but most importantly, as Doctor has said, it is to create awareness. And we engage TB survivors that will be able to explain to the population out there what have they gone through, how do they manage to go through, and how can we be able to prevent people from actually getting TB. I also wanted to supplement in terms of our guest of honor, who is coming tomorrow in Nakasongola. The Right Honorable Prime Minister happens to be a TB champion. She has been at the forefront in ending TB by 2030. If you noticed, towards the end of last year in November, she joined us at the National TB Conference for the stakeholders, where we bring together stakeholders from all over the world to Uganda to learn about our processes of what we've been able to do in tuberculosis and leprosy. But she also took on the champion of kicking the ball, meaning kicking TB out of Uganda, but also sharing that ball with other stakeholders and say, this is not a one person and TB, but it is a responsibility for all of us as stakeholders. So she was joined by the Minister of Health, who is also our very big convener and a very big champion in ending tuberculosis, but and also the World Health Organization Director for TB, who came from Geneva to join us. But at the end of the day, we need, apart from creating awareness, as a Ministry of Health, as National TB Program, as we go out to the communities, we need resources. We need to see our budgets increased so that we can see reaching more people to end this deadly disease by 2030. And the Right Honorable Prime Minister has been at the forefront of making sure that this happens. And we really appreciate her input and her valuable time and presence. Thank you.
Now, also, Dr. Luz, throw more light on what is going to exactly happen tomorrow. The activities, what exactly is going to be happening in Nakasongola, apart from knowing that there is going to be a function, the Right Honorable Prime Minister is going to be the chief guest. What have you planned? What should make, is the public invited? Is it by invitation? Throw more light to that.
Thank you. Thank you once again. Yes, tomorrow the public is invited. We have, this is open, and that's why it is in an open space. We are at RC Primary School playground. We invited the population, first of all the Nakasongola population, but also the surrounding districts. They have been invited to participate. And what are we going to participate in? We have a live band. We are going to march through the districts. We are going to marching through the district, and again we are going to have speeches, of course, from different partners and stakeholders that are going to participate. So basically, those are that is the climax, as I mentioned. All the activities are taking place. So tomorrow is just going to be the climax of the events that are marking this day. Yeah.
Well, I told you earlier that we may have a feed as we go by. So in case that comes in, which is the launch of the 6th Annual Higher Education Conference 2025. The launch of the 6th Annual Higher Education Conference 2025. And the First Lady and Minister for Education and Sports is expected to be the guest of honor at this. So in case that comes in, then we'll just go direct to the venue and bring you the live feed. But I'm still with Dr. Raymond and Dr. Ruze, with whom we are discussing the World Tuberculosis Day and also leprosy at the same time. Remember, these are two diseases that are really killing Ugandans. 30,000 Ugandans dying every year due to tuberculosis. That is a very high number of deaths that you're registering. I think more than any other disease, we might say, because not even HIV/AIDS kills that number. I don't know with cancer, I don't have the statistics for cancer, how many die every year, but 30,000 is quite big. And what hurts most is that tuberculosis is treatable.
Yes.
What hurts most is that tuberculosis is preventable. Now, why should we have this death? And what hurts most is that treatment is free of charge. Now, I want to take you to this institute. when I visit the Cancer Institute, not that I'm reporting them to anybody, but I see so much of congestion. Now, we are telling people treatment is free. How is TB, how are you handling, Dr. Raymond?
Yes, I would like to appreciate definitely the government of Uganda, because the government of Uganda, through the Ministry of Health, has taken on this head-on, creating awareness, but most importantly, as you've asked, how are we managing in terms of treatment? All the patients that are diagnosed with tuberculosis are started on treatment. We have a good percentage as compared to even our neighboring countries in terms of diagnosis and starting on treatment. We're almost at 99.8, 99.9% of all the TB patients that are diagnosed in this country are started on treatment, whether from the private sector or from the public sector. Now, the next thing is how are we doing when it comes to TB medicines? The government of Uganda is procuring and buying all the TB medicines for all our patients in this country. And that is a very huge leap from about 15 years ago, where government of Uganda was buying about 50%. Today, government of Uganda covers all the TB medicines. And that's why...
Don't you have drug stockouts?
No. With TB medicines, we don't have any drug stockouts. We are good. Even TB preventive treatment, we don't have any drug stockouts. We are also further encouraged by the government of Uganda that has made diagnostic services as nearer to the people as possible, including the most recent new technology of using digital x-rays with artificial intelligence, where we send out these, as you had the program manager mention, that we are using now x-ray services, mobile vans, and digital x-rays to go out to the community to screen for TB. This is now being made available to Ugandans in all the communities. We used to hear that the x-rays in some districts did not have x-rays. In the not far future from now, maybe even before the end of this year, we should be able to see at least a mobile x-ray, a digital x-ray in every district in this country. And that is a very good, tremendous move as a result of government of Uganda to see how they're investing into management of TB. And we believe that by 2030, this will be no more. We shall have reduced our TB burden to even less than 50,000 being infected if we go this direction. Now, the biggest challenge definitely is now on the people. Now that we have the medicines, are they ready to take these medicines, the TB patients, are they ready to take the medicines for 6 months? And that's what we want to move into. We are already seeing very good results, and thanks to, again, to the program manager and the team at the ministry. Our treatment success rate is now 90% and above, meaning that all the TB patients that we start on treatment, 90% complete their treatment. And once you complete your treatment, you're successfully treated. And you're no longer infectious, but above all, you become a more productive person in this country. And that is where we want to go. We want to even see a bigger treatment outcome in terms of treatment success rate, even to more than 95%. That's what our next strategic plan entails us to achieve. That by 2030, if we can have 95% of all the TB patients that started treatment, completing treatment successfully, we shall have achieved a huge milestone in this country. And if we do not achieve that, then we are producing another very dangerous tuberculosis that is resistant to the drugs that we have currently.
And that is where I was coming in when you talked about the 90+ achievement. That for about some years, I remember I was in a certain conference where they were talking about drug-resistant strain. Are they called strains? Yes, strains of tuberculosis. Now I was one, and it seemed like something new of a sort that had cropped up that now you get TB, and no matter how the drugs that you're given, they cannot work on that strain of TB.
Yes.
So Dr. Luze, then how do we achieve that success if we have, I don't know if this is out of the making, that because someone has not taken the drugs very well, so they become resistant, or it's a strain that particular responds to no drug?
Thank you. The drug-resistant type of tuberculosis comes up mainly through misuse of the drugs that we have, what we call the first-line drugs. And misuse is when, for instance, you give just one type of the drug. You know, the treatment consists of 4 drugs in the intensive phase, and then 2 drugs in the continuation phase, which is 2 months in the initial phase and 4 months in the continuation phase. But if you use only one type of the drug, then the organism becomes resistant to that drug, and the person actually does not improve, gets worse. And in so doing, the person can even pass now that resistant strain to others. So that's how it mainly develops, misuse of drugs. That's why now, to go around that, the drugs are put into a combined pill, so that they are all together. The chance of giving only one type of drug is minimized. But still, it can still happen. So we have that problem. We expect we see around 1,000 patients with drug-resistant tuberculosis in the country. But the good news also is that much as the treatment is more cumbersome than the initial, than on the other first-line treatment, we have the drugs that treat that condition. And our patients also, the treatment success for the drug-resistant type of tuberculosis is quite high, around 90%. But the thing is, the drugs are more costly, they are quite more expensive than the first-line drugs. Then also, they are more, they cause more side effects compared to the first-line drugs. And you take it a bit longer. We've come a long way. It used to be 2 years. Now we can treat in between 6 to 9 months. Yeah. So we have all the latest drugs in the country, and we thank the government again for making the treatment available to all.
So now what is important is adherency
to
the treatment that you're given. Well, if you're there and you're undergoing tuberculosis treatment, please do not tire taking those tabs. Take them until you're told that you're done with the treatment. You don't want drug-resistant tuberculosis, and please encourage others. Now we are still looking at tomorrow's event, that is the National Commemoration of Tuberculosis Day. Of course, the internationally is today, the 24th. But tomorrow, Uganda will join the rest of the world for us to have our and the main function is going to be in Nakasongola. You say that
RC Primary School.
RC Primary School. Now, the general public is invited?
Yes, the general public is invited. We are inviting the media to be there. We are inviting UBC, no doubt about that. We want them to be there and, you know, live, so that we can have everybody in this country and in the world participate and listen into the activities that are happening during the World TB Day and World TB and Leprosy Day. We will be hearing from TB survivors the conditions they have gone through, but also encouraging the public that please make sure you go for diagnosis and treatment. What I also want to appeal to our population, that the earlier you go for diagnosis and you're found to have TB, the outcomes for management of that condition, tuberculosis or leprosy for that matter, are much better. You will have much better outcomes compared to waiting and you get tuberculosis and you find that your lungs are all collapsed. By the time you get to treatment, it is late, and managing you is a very big challenge. So I want to appeal to the general population out there. Should you have a cough, should you have a discoloration of your skin or a bump on your skin and you don't know how it has come about, as long as you are breathing, you can be having tuberculosis or you can have leprosy. And we advise that you go out, seek your screening and diagnosis, and once you have the disease, seek treatment, and which is free of charge, and it will be made available to you. For multi-drug resistant TB, we do screen as well everybody that has a cough. Because once you have a cough and we screen you for tuberculosis, the same machine that we have used for tuberculosis is also going to diagnose you if you have multi-drug resistant TB. And multi-drug resistant TB is managed in our big hospitals. We've started with our big hospitals, the regional referral hospitals and a few of the district hospitals, and the national referral hospital as well has the drugs for multi-drug resistant TB. But we also continuously counsel you. We have someone there at the facility to counsel you. We have someone in the community. We have the TB survivors that are there to help you go through this treatment successfully. So please do not tire. Do not say that you are alone. We are with you through this journey of managing your tuberculosis and making sure that you are cured.
Now, Dr. Luze, one question that has been running through my mind is if you have the preventative treatment, if we have the treatment, and these are free of charge, you've never had drug stockouts, how come then we have high preference level of tuberculosis in this country? Why?
Yeah, well, yes, the preventive treatment is there, yes, but not, we have not, the population has not used it as much. There must be conditions where you have to use it, especially when you are considered at high risk. People who are at high risk, those who are in close contact, for instance, with a person who has active disease and when in close contact, especially children under 5 years who are in contact with parents, especially mothers. So it works very well. For HIV people, I mentioned that already. So there must be conditions that we look at, and then you are given the preventive treatment. I must say, though, that the prevention, it may not be for life, lifelong protection. So the treatment ranges between 1 month and 6 months, but it may not be that lifelong prevention. We have other means of prevention, like vaccination at birth for our children. We give them the BCG vaccine, but we know that, yes, it protects, but not 100% protection. So we have those challenges with the preventive approaches we have, that they are not 100% protective, but they actually contribute. So we need to put many things together for us to achieve what we want. So you take the prevention treatment, but also you take care of the other conditions that we mentioned that contribute to the activation of the disease. For instance, malnutrition. If you don't eat well, then the chances of getting the disease increases. But if you add your preventive treatment, feed yourself very well, avoid certain situations that can lead you to get exposed to the disease, then the chances of really having TB-free or leprosy-free are quite high.
Dr. Raymond, I would love you to supplement.
Yes, I would like to supplement on that. Thank you very much, Dr. Luze, for that. The prevention, one of the preventive, apart from using the treatment, is early diagnosis. Once you pick these patients up early and put them on treatment, within 2 weeks, within a month, they stop infecting others. And that is one of the very critical, that's why I was saying that we appeal to the population. Diagnosis be done early. Be put on treatment. You will stop. You heard Dr. Luze at the beginning mentioning that out of every 100 people with the tuberculosis, 30 will get infected. We are here 3, and one is coughing and has tuberculosis. One of us will infect the other. So if we do not pick up the TB patients early, they will continue to infect others. As I told you, on estimate, there are about 96,000 new infections every year, but we are getting about 90,000 TB patients every year. 6,000 are not picked up. They are there
spreading.
And they are busy spreading. That is number one. Number two, we have, as you've asked a good question around why do we have the therapy and yet we are seeing infections continuing. I would like to give you a very good example that happened in about 2020 when as a Ministry of Health we launched what we called 100 days of preventive therapy for people living with HIV. And we wanted to make sure that all people living with HIV in this country received TB preventive therapy. Within 100 days, stakeholders, everybody, we had put more than 100% of our HIV patients on TB preventive therapy. Those that were HIV positive. The products that we reaped at the end of 2-3 years, we saw a decline in tuberculosis among people living with HIV. This was as a result of the TB preventive therapy that we did in 2020. And we've continued to see a decline in TB among people living with HIV. And we want to see now, if we go beyond those that are living with HIV, and especially we look at the contacts of those that are TB patients, and make sure that all contacts of TB patients, we usually tell patients that are that have TB, please give us who you stay with. Give us the people that are close to you in the community, that you always work with, that you're always talking with, so that we can line list them. And we are able to give them preventive therapy. And in this way, we prevent them from getting TB, but we also prevent them from transmitting TB if they had TB. Because once we get you as a contact, we first screen you.
Okay.
If you don't have TB, we give you preventive therapy. If you have tuberculosis, we put you on treatment. And also in that way, we are protecting the rest of the community. And we hope that by 2030, we should be seeing a reduction in the TB numbers that we're seeing every year.
Well, 2030, we want to have that reduction regarding TB cases in this country. We cannot continue losing 30,000 Ugandans every year to something that is treatable, first and foremost, to something that is preventable, and there is preventative treatment on that. But how can we do that if you and I go for testing? For some reason, I don't know why Ugandans' issues of screening and testing are very hard for us. You may sample and ask people, how many of you know your HIV status? Someone will tell you, what takes me there? When you go to tuberculosis, when you go to cancers, different forms of cancers, where there is free screening, prostate, cervical, all these, Ugandans, we only want to go to hospital when we are really, really sick. And the doctors I have here have said, if you come in, if it's detected early, just like any disease, if it's detected early, it's very much curable. And you've had the recovery levels of above 90%, almost 99.5%. That is our recovery level. So why don't you go today and have that screening? Yes, doctor.
Yes, and I would like to add more. And this is a re-echoing of His Excellency the President. Prevention is better than cure. Prevention is cheaper than cure. If, as Ugandans, we decided to screen ourselves for every cough, for every patch that we have, the screening services are available. They are the cheapest. They are free. We have two types of screening. We can screen you by just asking you questions around your cough and fever, but we can also screen you with an X-ray. If you said that every year you had a chest X-ray done on you, just to rule out TB, we will do a lot in terms of TB prevention. But even if you have a TB patient and you are doing contact tracing, we have improved our TB preventive drugs now. Before we used to have TB preventive therapy where we would take a tablet or two every day for 6 months. Now today we have where we take a tablet or two once a week for 3 months, and you prevent TB. And that is a very big game changer, because people used to say, I cannot take these drugs for 6 months. I don't have TB, I don't have any problem. But I'm taking drugs for 6 months. Now we're saying, no, just take your tablet or two once a week for 3 months. Those are 12 doses, and you should be very healthy. And I think that is cheap, it is easier, it is much more acceptable by our people. And I think if we did that to these high-risk populations, the people that are congested, that are staying in slums, the smokers, the people that have TB patients within their homesteads, the alcoholics, the fisher folks, the HIV-positive people, cancer patients, I think we shall be able to do a lot in terms of ending TB.
Well, Dr. Luze, please come in.
Thank you. I wanted to just supplement on one of the things that he has talked about, screening. We have found TB in people who don't actually cough. We know the cardinal symptom is cough, but we found TB in people who don't cough. That's why we emphasize that people should go for screening with the chest X-rays, the ones that we have in the country right now, and more are coming. So we should, ideally, someone should be screened once a year with that X-ray. So you may be, you look fine, but we have found that you can actually be having TB without any symptoms. So we encourage people to go and screen at least once every year for many conditions, but also for tuberculosis as well.
Well, it is a very informative discussion. I'm enjoying myself. I'm learning more, and of course, it's a wake-up call for you who is watching us. Unfortunately, time is not so much on our side. We must come to the end of this show to allow more programming to continue, but I'll just give each of my guests a minute or two to have their parting shots, and allow me start with Dr. Luze.
Thank you very much once again for hosting us. Just want to remind the public that tomorrow we are in Nakasongola for the World TB and Leprosy Day commemoration, and the chief guest is the Honorable Prime Minister of Uganda, Robina Nabanja. So I call upon all the public to come and participate, be with us, and we commemorate and learn and create more awareness. TB, curable, and leprosy, they are all curable.
Well, thank you, the project manager, Dr. Luze. Now, Dr. Raymond, as we leave the set.
Thank you very much, Chirabo. Thank you, Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, UBC, for this great opportunity that you've given us today to talk to our viewers and the population in Uganda. I just want to remind fellow Ugandans that TB and leprosy are with us. We are seeing many patients with tuberculosis and leprosy, but we have the tools to screen and manage you with tuberculosis and leprosy. The drugs are available in all public and private facilities, and we can cure you, and you are curable. We can provide preventive therapy for you, and we are asking reduction in stigma. Do not stigmatize TB patients otherwise, and leprosy patients, otherwise they go back underground and continue infecting others. So we want you to encourage them and welcome them and work with them. Remember, as long as they are on treatment, whether it's TB, whether it's leprosy, they will not be infectious. They will stop infecting others, and we shall be encouraging our population to come out and seek services and get cured. And lastly, we are looking forward to having you in Nakasongola tomorrow to join us in commemoration of World TB Day, World TB and Leprosy Day, and we are going to have a good time with our Right Honorable Prime Minister, but more importantly, we are going to be creating more awareness and learning about TB and leprosy. The Ministry of Health has a number of telephone lines where they can, where if you have any question, there are toll-free lines. And there's also a toll-free message line, 8080. I forget the toll-free lines that we have, but they will be mentioned. Yes. And please call in if you have any question in relation to tuberculosis, to leprosy, or to any other disease, and we should be able to answer you as quickly as possible. Thank you very much. Thank you, Uganda Broadcasting Corporation.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Raymond Biaruhanga, who happens to be the Senior Technical Advisor, Ministry of Health, National Tuberculosis and Leprosy Division. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Raymond.
Thank you very much.
And of course, Assistant Commissioner, Ministry of Health and National TB and Leprosy Division, Dr. Luze Henry. Thank you so much for your time and of course the information, but above all, you, my boss, our viewer. Thank you so much for being with us all the way from 6:30 till now with the extension of Good Morning Uganda, which is Good Morning Uganda Extra. Please go and be screened. Shocking to know that there are people who are not even coughing, but when screened, they are found with tuberculosis. Prevention is better than cure and also cheaper at the same time. God bless you. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
The government's core mandate is to maintain law and order, safeguard citizens' rights, and provide provide essential public services.
Remember, one of the pillars of a roadmap is innovation and entrepreneurship.
There has been this question of how are you protecting our indigenous seed?
It's going to be a tall project that answers somebody's question.
The Front Bench has brought you insightful discussions on governance, security, healthcare, justice and commerce.
When you go through this complicated procedure, involve the lawyers, you bring the case against him, the judge will hear you out and pass judgment, and you're out of court in record time.
We remain committed to keeping you informed and engaged on key national matters.
So these are huge, these are powerful organizations which now Uganda chairs. Why don't you come together?
If we haven't migrated to the e-card,